Welcome back to the deep dive. It's great to be here, ready to jump into the source material you've shared with us.
Yes, excerpts today from Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. Always a treat.
Absolutely. And there's just something special about seeing a story unfold through the author's own words, isn't there? Which is what we'll do.
Definitely. And Austen kicks things off with Catherine Morland, who is, well, let's just say she's not your standard issue heroine for that time.
Right. The text says she was decidedly not born to be one. Plain, a bit awkward.
Preferred cricket to dolls, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't a quick study unless something really grabbed her interest, like that fable, The Hare and Many Friends.
So I guess our question for this deep dive is, how does this seemingly pretty ordinary, maybe a little naive girl handle the world she enters? A world that's often, frankly, not very heroic itself.
And what makes her story stick with us? It's a good question.
Okay, so let's start where she does, really, in Bath.
Right. She arrives with Mrs. Allen, and there's that very relatable feeling, isn't there? Wanting to meet people, hoping for, as Mrs. Allen puts it, a large acquaintance here. It's her first real taste of society.
And pretty quickly, she encounters Henry Tilney.
Ah, yes! Henry. He stands out immediately.
He really does. So intelligent, lively, and that sort of playful, slightly ironic way he talks.
That conversation about keeping a journal, or comparing dancing duties to marital ones. Classic Tilney.
And Catherine's just charmed. She finds him so agreeable. You feel that initial spark, that connection. It feels hopeful.
It does, but then
Yeah.
almost immediately we get a contrast. Enter the Thorpes.
Right, introduced through Catherine's brother James, Isabella Thorpe and her brother John.
And Isabella's,
Right.
wow, instantly overwhelming friendliness.
My dearest Catherine, sweetest Catherine.
Exactly.
Mhm.
All these really effusive declarations right off the bat, sweeping Catherine into plans, promising this intense, immediate bond.
And this feels like a key point Austen is making, looking at these pages, the different ways deception can look. With Isabella, it's this, like, sugary surface.
Yeah, it's almost too sweet, isn't it? Constantly talking about hats, clothes, pitying other people, these dramatic little phrases like being quite wild with impatience.
It's such a stark contrast to Catherine herself, who's more sincere, maybe a bit quiet in her observations.
She is, although she does notice things, like thinking Henry might indulge a little too much with the foibles of others. So she's not completely oblivious, just inexperienced.
And then you have John Thorpe. He's the flip side of that coin, isn't he? Not the sweet talk, but just, well, bragging and lying.
Oh, totally. The horses, the drinking, the shooting party.
And those completely contradictory stories about his gig. And how rude he is, calling his sisters ugly.
Catherine's just baffled by it all. Those idle assertions and impudent falsehoods, as Austen puts it, her simple honesty just can't compute deliberate untruth.
Yeah, it really highlights her vulnerability there.
And this leads to that first real test, doesn't it? The planned walk with the Tilneys versus the Thorpe excursion to Clifton.
John Thorpe really pressures her.
He does. But Catherine, despite everything, she holds firm. She has a prior engagement with Miss Tilney. And her line, it's simple but strong. If I am wrong, I am doing what I believe to be right.
It really is powerful in its simplicity. And then John lies, says he made her excuses to the Tilneys.
Classic Thorpe manipulation.
But Catherine doesn't just, shrug and accept it.
Yeah.
She takes action.
Yes. She goes straight to the Tilneys' place to explain and apologize herself.
That quiet determination, that need for honesty when faced with deceit. That's maybe the first real glimpse of her underlying strength.
Absolutely. So moving on from Bath, she gets the invitation to Northanger Abbey. Her head is just buzzing with Gothic fantasies from all the novels she's read.
Oh yeah, she's expecting secrets, hidden passages, maybe a ghost or two.
And the reality, General Tilney's house is grand, yes, but perfectly modern and not at all spooky.
And that whole scene where she explores the chest in her room, thinking it holds some dark secret.
Only to find a laundry list, wasn't it? Or something equally mundane.
Right. And the text mentions her bitter emotions of shame, following that ray of common sense. The real world just isn't like her books.
Henry teases her gently about it, but the point lands. The real horrors aren't usually found in old buildings.
Exactly. They're found in people, which she learns pretty harshly.
First, that letter from her brother James. Devastating news.
Yeah, revealing Isabella broke off their engagement to chase after Captain Tilney, Henry's brother. James calls her a vain coquette.
And Catherine finally sees the shallow artifice for what it is. Real heartbreak there.
Followed by perhaps the biggest shock, General Tilney kicking her out of the Abbey.
It's so sudden. So grossly uncivil, as Austen writes, hurrying her away with no explanation.
Eleanor's distressed but can't explain it either, just confirms it's her father's whim, no just cause.
That journey home must have been awful. The contrast between her earlier happiness traveling there and this current misery and, well, indignity.
Such a low point. But then, back home in Fullerton when she's feeling really down,
Who shows up?
Henry Tilney. Unexpectedly. Wonderfully.
Such a great moment. He's come to apologize for his father, and crucially, he says he was impatient to know she was safe. Genuine concern.
And her parents' reaction is also quite telling, isn't it?
Very much so. They're measured, principled. They still need his father's consent, technically.
Right. And they acknowledge the match is, maybe beyond the claims of their daughter, socially or financially.
But they welcome Henry warmly. Based on his character, his obvious affection for Catherine, it's like a quiet validation of her worth, her sincerity being recognized.
So looking back at her journey through these excerpts, she starts with this useful, plain sense, but also a wildly overactive imagination.
And she navigates real social complexities, real disappointments, real deception.
And the big realization, maybe for her and for us, is that the true dangers, the real horrors, weren't ghosts. They were the manipulative people like Isabella and John Thorpe.
Exactly. Contrasted so sharply with the genuine goodness she finds in her own family and in Henry and Eleanor Tilney.
So what makes it timeless? Maybe it's just that enduring appeal of seeing basic honesty and a good heart navigate a tricky world and finding that it can be rewarded.
Finding connection and value in unexpected places.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? In our world, which still has plenty of shallow artifice and, yes, impudent falsehoods, how vital is cultivating that simplicity and truth within ourselves? How does it protect us, guide us?
A really good question to reflect on. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed exploring Northanger Abbey with us, please do like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment sharing your own thoughts on Catherine's story. We always love to hear from you.